Hello, and welcome back to another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose Hoops Hype Edition. And this game has everything, as we like to call it, the Bryce Cotton Cup, top of the ladder, Adelaide, Perth, in that awkward part of the season where the pressure's not quite on, but the danger might be rising. Bryce Cotton iced his old team in Perth with a fourth quarter masterclass last time around. And now the King returns home to the city of Churches with a crown on his head and a dagger in his pocket. The question tonight isn't whether Adelaide are good. We know they are. It's whether they're ready to go to the next level and start to put teams consistently to the sword across 4 quarters. But before we get into it, make sure to hit subscribe down below. And of course, you can follow us along on all of your social media platforms. At the Chris Mack Show is where you will find it. We'll have Hoops Hype rolling all season. Plenty of content, no fluff, getting into it with the NBL and much, much more. Speaking of getting into it, let's get started with this one. Adelaide, they sit on top of the ladder and they've earned it. They're in form, they're winning close games, and while they're not always clinical in closing quarters out, especially late in games, close enough has been good enough more often than not. But the pivot point, being good gets you wins, being executive gets you championships. And the talent is absolutely there. And of course, at the center of it all, Bryce Cotton. The reigning 5-time MVP with a hint of an assassin about him. 25.8 points per game, 7.8 assists, a walking 37 PRA machine this season. As I said, the 5-time MVP chasing a 6, and make no mistake, legacy seasons do not drift by quietly. He showed in Perth earlier this year that if you let him hang around, he'll end you late with the killer blow. So how do Perth try and slow down the former Wildcat? Because if you get it wrong, Bryce will burn you for 40 plus and we'll all pretend we didn't see it coming. If you get it right, that's where a game can pivot into a heavyweight bout inside. That's when the spotlight swings to the big man. Joe Lual-acuil Jr. versus Isaac Humphries. 2 mobile scoring modern centres who don't just play in the paint, they own space. If Perth are going to win this game, they have to dominate the interior and get everything clicking because the numbers do not lie. Perth simply do not have perimeter shooting at a consistent level right now. None of the Wildcat squads sit inside the top 25 of the NBL for 3-pointers made per game. David Duke Jr., Christian Doolittle, they're 27th and 28th, averaging just 1.6 makes. The best Perth Wildcat, Mason Jones, who's no longer with the side in terms of 3-pointers made, sitting just above those two. That's fine unless you're playing a team that hunts threes like Adelaide do. And Adelaide have 2 of the most effective perimeter threats in the league. The top 2 of the top 3 in Bryce Cotton and DJ Vasiljevic, with Ice controlling the paint behind them. Perth's habit of conceding threes, that's not a quirk, that's a concern, especially in a matchup like this. They come off a last start win against Tasmania that was, let's be polite, far from pretty, and again, conceding a serious number of threes. Christian Doolittle had to go nuclear, 67% shooting. A heroic night for sure, but it's also one that's very hard to repeat, especially against a side like the 36ers. Are we expecting a similar showing here? Let's hope not, because if they do, Adelaide will likely put them to the sword. Now here's the uncomfortable question. Is Perth currently cruising a little? Human nature matters at this point of the season. They're sitting in 5th at the moment, relatively untouchable for now, unless there's a sharp rise from below or a sudden slide of their own. A couple of games of buffer on either side of them. Does mean less pressure. Does that lead to less urgency? And possibly just a touch less incentive on the road. In terms of injury context, likely no Ben Henshaw tonight. Jaron really is still a few weeks away, and suddenly this feels like a dangerous spot against a team that's hungry in Adelaide. The 36ers are due a strong showing, and this feels like the night they might decide to turn the screws against their rivals. Let's talk numbers. I expect Adelaide to cover the line here at home in front of their raucous sellout crowd in Adelaide. This matchup does suit them. They also love to get it up and down against Perth. Add in the Bryce Cotton factor against his old side, and it all points in one direction. They do outmatch Perth in most areas with respect, but especially where the modern game is decided. For a little extra spice, a little extra value if you're having a wager, I like Bryce Cotton to hit 2+3s, DJ Vasiljevic for 2+3s, and Isaac Humphries for 15 points. That sits around $3.20, and the logic stacks up on the current form lines and what we've seen from these two teams in recent weeks. As for the scoreboard, I think this one will land about a double-digit win to the 36ers, something around the 92 to 82 mark. This is the Bryce Cotton Cup, as we're calling it. As we know, he took the honours in Perth. Now he gets his old team at his new home. The King with an assassin's edge. Adelaide are good, but tonight, it's really about whether they're ready to do more than that. If they execute, they win comfortably. If they don't, you feel Bryce Cotton will make sure it doesn't matter anyway. Make sure if you haven't before to hit subscribe down below, hit the bell notification as well, and get involved in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. What did we get right? What did we miss here? Is there some glaring gaps? Hoops Hype will continue to roll on through the NBL season. And of course, you can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, and on X. A big thank you to you for tuning in, and we look forward to being back to you again very soon with more and more sport on your home of the black and white of sport. No grey opinions here.